webcam button right here at the bottom of the screen. So you can mute yourself if you don't want to be on the recorded side of things. Also, too, what we're going to set as a norm, and I suggest you do this if you're doing this, this is a meeting platform with your students. Mute yourself. Everybody, please go ahead and mute yourself if you're not already muted. As the meeting moderator, I can go in to participants and I can mute somebody if I needed to. So I could go here and I can mute, but I cannot unmute you. So take just a moment to familiarize yourself with how to mute and unmute yourself. That way, if you do need to share or speak out, you can just unmute yourself. So in other meeting platforms, the moderator can mute and unmute participants, but in this one, I can only mute them. The chat box up at the top is where you are going to post, oh, you can ignore that, it's a very good tool. You're going to post any questions that you have during the content presentation. And then Jen will interrupt me if a question seems like I either need to address it there on the spot, or if I'm just missing it, because it does get difficult. So if you are using this tool with your students, I would recommend, especially if you're older content, that you assign one of the students to moderate the chat. That provides the student with a little bit of a leadership role in the meeting, but having a chat moderator is a good best practice for doing online meetings. So obviously, if you don't have a person you can team up with to do that, then you just want to try to be mindful to frequently pause. In Google Meet, there will be a little icon that will appear here, but if I'm sharing my screen and I'm on another page, then I don't see that chat icon and it's not popping up while I'm presenting. So you want to be mindful if you're sharing a screen presentation that you hop back and forth. Definitely, if I go too far and Jen's moderating the chat and you didn't get something or you need it, you can unmute and say, can you repeat that? Or can you go back over it? Those of you who know me know I tend to talk fast. I try to be more mindful in these type of training sessions to slow it down, but I still think and move a little faster than most people appreciate. So don't hesitate to just unmute and say, Rosemary, please slow down. All right, so with that being said, we went over some of the norms for this session. I'm gonna kind of tour you around Google Meet, but I'm gonna do it in a blank screen for how you get started. All right, so when you are in Google, two tools that you should be aware of in your waffle are Google Chat and Google Meet. Now, before you can really even get to those and maximize the power of this, you do want to make sure that you are signed in and syncing to your CPS BOE Chrome account. That extends your tools. It gets you more instantly into a lot of different features, and it opens up extensions, which this tiled view of this meeting is an extension. And then there are several that are really great efficiency tools, and even some to keep you healthy while you're working from home. And I've added some of those in. They're going to pop up during this presentation. So make sure that you are signed into your CPS BOE account. For those of you who have kids at home learning and you're saying, well, I need my personal account on or my child's on, you can always add another account and then just make sure that when you are working, the appropriate account is the one that is syncing. The other option that you could do is have somebody else use a different browser. And so you could use Internet Explorer or Edge or Firefox for other users. You can still sign into Google. I do recommend for all staff that you are using the Chrome browser, you're signed in and syncing to Chrome. Okay, so going back into that waffle menu, we're going to look at Google Chat. And we're also going to look at Google Meet. So Google Chat is going to be a place that you can consider like instant messaging. So you can get anybody in your class or a coworker. So I could put in Rachel Alexis, and she's going to pop up right there. And I can start instant message chatting with her through Google Chat. It is also available as a mobile app. And they have a really nice feature in there that I am going to show you guys on mobile. In Google Chat on mobile, I can select Do Not Disturb for up to 8 hours. So those of you who were feeling like I'm always on, if you use Google Chat as a way to connect with people on staff or even your students, you can snooze that for 8 hours at a time, and that could maybe reduce some of the anxiety that you've got going over feeling like you're always being pulled on. In Google Meet, oh, excuse me, I didn't mean to close that. Google Meet can also be launched directly from chat. So I have found this really helpful. Rachel and I have already popped on a few of these. So if you're chatting with somebody, you can just send them a meeting right here in this chat. Rachel, don't click on this right now. So you hit send, and then the both of you just hop right into that meeting, and then you can share your screen. And so this is a great collaboration tool across your teams. You can
Rosemary.
Yeah.
We don't see your screen anymore.
My bad. Thank you, Rachel. Sorry. So in the chat, what I can do is just send that meeting right there, hit send, and it appears. And then we can both hop into that meeting really quickly. You can also do it with a group. So if I needed Rachel, oh, excuse me, I forgot to hit group message. If I needed Rachel, and this could be a group of students as well. So you may have identified a group of 4 or 6 students you want to get online and work on something with. I can type in their names and select them. Time, Jennifer. So let's say that this is the group that I want to do. I can now say message, and it's created a group message. And then so we can be instant messaging as a team, but we can also launch our Google meeting right in there. And again, Rachel, Jatan, and Jennifer, don't click on that right now. So I can send that, and then all 3 of us can get in that meeting. Now, once you are in Google Meeting, I'm just going to start a different one. You can start one on the fly. I like to do this because I just name mine Rosemary Jane, and then people can just plug that in, or I can send them the link. So if they're within CPS, so this would be your students or staff, they can just type in Rosemary Jane as the nickname into Google Meet, and it'll take them into my meeting. Once I join a fresh meeting, it's, there we go. So I'm in a meeting. You can see I'm by myself. That was the extension that Jennifer shared in the chat. That does not automatically appear, so you will have to add that separately. I'm not going to pause right here to go over that. We'll circle back to that. But what you will have is your participants and a chat. If you follow down around here, present now is how you share your screen with others. When you click on present now, you can either select a window or entire screen. From a laptop, I've always selected entire screen. And then I do have 2 monitors at home. You just have to select the screen and hit share. And then you start sharing your screen with others. Because I've got 2 meetings going, there we go. There'll be some errors, but so basically this is what it looks like to the moderator. And then you can hop on whatever screen you're trying to share and instruct that way. So some people have asked about screencasting and helping students with that. If you actually use the Google Meet tool, you can screencast. And if you go down here to the 3-dot menu, that is where you select to record the meeting. Now it always pops up with this consent, which is a nice mental check to pause, because I like to tell people I'm about to start recording. So if you want to mute your video or microphone, not everybody wants to be recorded. So you want to always make sure that you announce that. And whether you're in a tool that's that is allowing that or not. Uh-oh. Can everybody still hear me? Shoot. Jen?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes.
Oh, perfect. Okay. So I just don't, unfortunately, I opened it in the same window. So 1 second. I may have to open this meeting back up in a different tab. All right, well, this is the perfect time for you to ask questions. I won't be able to show responses, but I can certainly respond. Does anybody have questions about Google Meeting at this time? Okay, it looks like it's going to force me out and back in. So if everybody could just sit tight, I'm going to hop out and back in. All right, can everybody hear me? All right, good, good. I cannot hear you yet, but I'm starting to see you. Okay. Yeah, my system just needed to be kick-started. Okay. Going back into that other meeting. Whoops, gotta share my screen. All right. So if I'm in that other meeting, I was showing how to record it. Yes, I know. All right, I'm gonna stop this other meeting and I'm gonna go back over here to ours. It might have gummed it up that I had two going at once. Closed captioning icon is right here at the bottom. So it says captions have been turned on. Jody, do you have captions on or no? Good, perfect. Hey, all right. So closed captioning is turned on. I'm going to turn mine off since Jody has it on her end. And then let me hide this. Along the bottom, the mute button is here to mute your sound, or you can mute your display. You want to show your students muting themselves, both the video and the sound, if you do use this with students. All right, the last piece, I'm kind of following a circle around the screen. So we went over the participants, the chat. Jen is moderating that for me. Down here, I showed recording. There is a change layout option. They have those three options, and then Jen did share the link for adding this grid view. Full screen, you can use it. I never usually do. And then the rest of it is kind of self-explanatory. Now, if you're ever on and somebody says, I can't hear you, it's not working, you might want to direct them to use phone, and they can actually plug their phone number in and the meeting will call them, or they can just dial in. So if you're in and somebody says, I can't hear, I don't know what's going on, direct them to that use a phone for audio. Also, if you are on a computer at home, whether it is a district computer, your personal laptop, or your personal tablet, our My Tomorrow's technicians and our JW Affinity technicians are available for troubleshooting problems that you're having with your device. You simply send an email to ITM Help, and they will forward it on to a technician, and they have said, of course, during this time, they're willing to help you troubleshoot with even a non-district device. So that would be ITM Help at cpsboe.k12.oh.us. Settings on devices for microphone and cameras being like blocked in the background have been a big issue for some users from home. So they can also help your students at home or your parents at home. So just be aware that that email can be sent. All right, Jen, did we have any questions pop up on Google Meet?
Yes, so one was, if there's interpreters, how can we make sure that it stays on the screen with the presenter?
Oh, perfect question. Okay, I can go in here and I can pin somebody. So if I'm the one presenting, I can pin myself. I'm going to turn off this grid view. There we go. So I don't have that grid view on. Go into the participant.
Rosemary, you're frozen. Oh,
Nope, she left the meeting. I was wondering if it was me or it was on her side. There we go. Now she's back.
Unmute Rosemary.
Yeah, thank you. All right. So if you want to pin somebody, you can hit that little pin button and then they are pinned to the screen. Now, when you're in present mode, we stop sharing. When you're in present mode and if you pin, I'm going to stay on the screen. So if somebody else try talking, it's not going to pop up that other person. It's going to hold that pin there. So pin the presenter who you want to be speaking.
When you
Or-
record it, do they stay on? Do you know?
Pardon?
If you record your meeting, let's say it's a teacher doing it and then the interpreter is interpreting live and they're recording it, do they both stay on?
The person recording would need to be the person who pins it. So
But you would see the pin on the video?
yeah, like I can pin, let me pin somebody else. Well, everybody looks like they turned off. I don't know if everybody's cameras are off or not. Nope, I got some cameras on. So let me pin Rachel. Rachel, you know I like to pick on you. All right, so I'm going to pin Rachel. And so now, whether I'm talking or not, Rachel should be pinned for me as a viewer. So pinning and unpinning. You guys you might want to practice with that. Other questions from the chat, because as I had to refresh and go back in, I lost that. So Jen, other questions?
Tampa says, is it necessary to have a Google account in order to participate with a Google Meet or chat?
So no, outside participants can come on, and you guys might have seen that before. I got a message that popped up as the moderator telling me that somebody wanted to join. So I just allowed those users in. I'm gonna go back to this grid view because I like it. So you get a message that somebody is joining from outside the organization. Now, if they join from inside the organization, then they just come right into the meeting and you don't have to do anything. But if they're joining from outside, then they don't. Dr. Turpo, you have to unmute yourself. So just hover down to the bottom here to the microphone and click it so it's not red.
Okay. So can we go back to the what you were talking about with the interpreter? So when we're recording a session and somebody does the recorder who actually hit the recording have to pin the person so they stay in the video so that when it's replayed, they actually see the interpreter pinned? Mm-hmm. Or is it the person that's watching has to pin it and it's recorded?
So if you want the interpreter to be captured during the duration of the recording, the moderator who's recording would need to pin that person.
Okay.
However, if it's just for the user on the other side to receive the interpretation, they could individually pin that person as well.
Copy. All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Jen, were there other questions about Google Meet in there?
No, not yet.
All right, fantastic. With this being an hour-long session and 3 topics to cover, my goal was to try to round out each topic in under 20 minutes. So if you guys are okay with it, I'm going to move on to topic number 2, which is using Schoology as a hub for your remote learning resources. Are we good with that?
Just there was one question earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Melissa.
Rosemary, I have a question. I wanted to do Google Meets twice a day with my students.
Okay.
Do I need to send them an invite for each one?
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. You know what? I did not show scheduling this.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say.
Thank you. I'm going to show scheduling. So if you are signed in and syncing to your Chrome account, you've got the Google Calendar right here in the waffle. You want to select that. And let's say that you want to schedule a meeting for every Wednesday and Friday. Let's just go with that. Okay. So I can just select here. Now you can start typing in right away. I like the more options. That's what I go to. But then you can say, you know, I don't know if you still do 6th grade teacher meeting, whatever you want to call it. And then you just go down here to add conferencing, Hangouts Meet. And so tomorrow at noon, there's that conference. But if you want to have that same conference recur, then you're going to go here and you can either pick weekly, or I like custom because that's where you can go in and say on Wednesdays and Fridays, it's going to recur. And then the other thing I really like is the end date. I can set that for, it's supposed to be May 1st. Please, Lord. Okay, so we can say that that's going to end on May 1st, and I can hit done. And now that meeting join information is the same for all of those meetings that'll go on my calendar. So then you can just simply copy. This is what I did in your Woodford group today. Copy that join information there. I'm going to go ahead and put this on my calendar. I'll delete it later. You can also go down here and put in any notes you need or a link that you need. Then hit save. And now you can see that on Friday and next Wednesday and next Friday, I have this meeting. And then the join information, it's this code here, MJR. And you'll see that if I go to that, it's that same code every time. So I can set a recurring meeting to have the same join code every time.
Can you individually add the kids with their cincinnatips.org?
Absolutely, you can. Now bear in mind, it's going to send a notification to their email and it'll show up on their Google Calendar. But if email and Google Calendar are not tools you were using with your students before they went home for learning, then you would probably need to post it in your Schoology, and you'd want to copy and paste that link in multiple locations. That link will be the same, but you can add them right here. So I can add either a parent or a student. I have one student who, this is a student at Hyde Park, or here, we're at Woodford, so I'll do, oh, Grace is in preschool, so she doesn't have one. But you get the idea. That's why I use this kiddo. You just type in their name and you can see that cincinnatips.org appears. You can invite them directly. But it's just a calendar invitation that goes to their email. So if they're not used to using Google Calendar and their email, then you would want to copy and paste that information into something else. I am going to delete all these now. This and following events will get rid of all of them, or you can do specific events. So I don't want 6th grade meeting hanging out.
Well, teacher,
all right, questions?
Yeah, real quick. This is a great way to do your office hours if you want to set it up like this, where people will just get the notification and they can just pop in a meeting and ask you questions. It's also a great tool for the IEP meeting that you can kind of set these up and parents can get these notifications, and you'll have it on your calendar and they'll have it as well.
Yeah, that's a really good point about recurring meetings that you need to hold, or office hours. You can see on mine that I held office hours yesterday from 1 to 3. And so I can make that repeat just by going in and editing it. And I can make it every Wednesday, or I can make that custom. So you can also go into meetings you've previously held, or you can, the editing tool in there is very, very robust. I did hear informally, so you wanted to verify this with your Department of Student Services folks, but I did hear that we are not recording IEP meetings. So that's something you want to double check on before you hit record. Consider what the meeting is for. Now, if they've changed that, that was earlier this week or last week, just double check with whoever is managing that. Just be mindful.
One of the questions was, if you say 1 hour duration time on your meeting, can it go over an hour when you're doing the meeting?
Absolutely.
And the other question is, will preschool ever get it because of
so Google Meet is based on Google accounts. So preschool teachers and staff do have Meet, but students do not. And we really don't want a 3 or 4-year-old in an online meeting unmoderated anyway. So preschool, I've been meeting with them actually, and we are advising that they send invitations directly to parents. And then parents can join either Meet, or if you've already started with another platform, no one is telling you have to stop using your other platform. If you are one adult in your home, on your home network, connecting to your parents, from a district standpoint, we recommend you use Google Meet. It is approved. Gaggle is on there, so it can capture any unsafe content. If you're using any other tool, then it's not as secure. And absolutely never have students on a tool that is not approved. So your students must be on Google Meet if you're going to video conference. But with that being said, the preschool was a good example. The preschool students are getting on, but their parent is there and either putting the phone in their hand or turning the screen. So it's really the parent you're meeting with, and they are putting their children on. And then that's an agreement between the parent and their child, not you and the child. Good clarifying questions here. And if we have to, like, if one topic needs more attention than another, just because I have 3 agenda items doesn't mean that I can't schedule a follow-up and we can't do another topic another day, because I want to make sure we can really answer this. For Google Meet recordings, by the way, guys, this is an add-on I have that is fantastic, keeps you moving. Just sidebar. But if you want to access your Google recordings, once you record them in your Google Drive, it automatically creates a folder for you called Meet Recordings. So in your Meet Recordings folder, the first time you go in there, it looks like garbled junk, but these meetings are actually named by the invite join code of the meeting. So it becomes really easy to find, and then you can just always click on them and rename them. So you can rename here, and then you can share that copy of that. Now, if the meeting was named, like this is my office hours, I named it. If you create the meeting in your calendar and name it, it will pull the name in for you. So if you create a meeting from the calendar, it'll name it. If you just create a meeting on the fly or you don't name it, it'll just be that code. But you access the videos in your Google Drive. From there, you can download or upload them, share them, do whatever you want with them. But that's where your videos are. All right, we're a little over time on this topic, but I would rather make sure it's thoroughly answered. Jen, I see like 10 chats, but I take it you've got it covered, right? Okay.
Yes.
All right, are we good to move on to topic number 2, Schoology is your hub?
Any more questions about Google Meet?
Jen can get those while I clear out some of these tabs and open up Schoology for us. I am going to drop this form link in the chat right now just because I've been having connection issues.
You can unmute yourself if you want to have a question about Google Meet too.
Oh, for sure.
I didn't see anything new, but I don't make sure.
I actually have a question. Is it possible to have more than one person penned so that like the sign language interpreter and this presenter can be seen at the same time?
That is a good question, and I'm actually not sure. I don't think we can pin more than one person at a time.
Okay.
Yeah, to my knowledge, no, but that might be a good use for using tiles. Also, keep in mind, you're not always going to have 17 people in one meeting. So you might want to look at your Google Meets more like station time, and you might want to conduct them in small groups. That would be a lot more manageable at the elementary level. I know that would put you on the screen more frequently, but also there's no expectation that you're on this daily with students. You might want to come up with a schedule that works with you. I know when I taught first grade at Woodford, I had 4 groups for my stations and my center rotation. And so maybe it's on, Mondays I meet with group A, Tuesdays I meet with group B, Wednesdays C, Thursdays D, and Friday. One great idea I heard from somebody was virtual recess. You just put them on a meeting and let them talk to one another. So Friday could be like a virtual recess or a fun meeting time. So don't overdo. You guys should not be tied to the screen for 6-7 hours a day. It's not healthy for you. Your students shouldn't be tied to the screen 6-7 hours a day. So figure out a schedule that works for you. That is both my personal and professional opinion. So if Dr. Turpo gives you other direction, please listen to him. All right. We good to move on to the next topic? Okay.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to open up Schoology. Well, I'm going to type it correctly. All right, and for this, we're going to be looking at using Schoology as a hub for your learning resources. I'm going to show both an intermediate team, a 4th, 5th, and 6th grade teacher, as well as a preschool, and then you can kind of fill in the blanks in between. So bear with me 1 minute while I pull up these courses. I want to show you 2 examples, and then we can get into some of the weeds of questions of how to do these things. I'm going to start with the intermediate elementary grade levels. So this is a 4th, 5th, and 6th grade teacher. This is actually this is a Montessori teacher, so she actually teaches all those grade levels in one room. But for those of you who worked with Mr. McGowan the last couple years, you may remember that he tied together everybody's homerooms. There are ways that you can tie together and team up as an intermediate team or as a primary team. K1-2 could team up. I know I kind of just left 3rd in the dust there, but maybe pre-KK could team up. 1 through 3 could team up. So there's all sorts of ways you can do this. But I want to show you what this intermediate teacher did. So she renamed her homeroom Remote Learning, and she's functioning, all of her materials are going into homeroom. So she's linking to 4th grade, 5th grade, and 6th grade. Now within these folders, she has materials that actually take those students to that math course, but she's hubbed everything in homeroom so that both students and parents alike have one location they have to go. She changed the icon a bit so it stands out a little bit more. You may or may not be aware, but from mobile especially, but even just for any kid, when they are viewing their courses and their teacher has not named or redone the image of the course, I want to show you what kids see. This is one 4th grader I pulled up there. I clicked on courses and that's what they had to look at. So you can see there's no differentiation there. There's nothing visually to trigger me that I should click here versus there. And, you know, especially if we're dealing with a younger child, oh, sorry, this was a 2nd grade student. If I'm a struggling reader, you know, reading the name of these courses could be difficult. So it's really important that you go ahead and add a custom image here, and then you find a place to hub all your materials. That way you can communicate out with parents and say, all our materials can be found in our homeroom course. She renamed it Remote Learning. I'm going to quickly show how she did that. Oh, and sorry, to change the icon, you can do that from here. You can pick one of their different ones, just anything but those blue books, or you can attach any file that you want from your computer. So change the image icon. Now she named it Remote Learning here. In course options, edit info. You cannot touch the name homeroom, but you can change the section name. Now the section name is assigned by Powerschool and it probably says something like 1A or 8C. It's associated with the Powerschool section name, but you can change your section name. So she changed it to Remote Learning. And so now all of her students and parents know to go into this spot. She's got her discussion boards posted, and then the materials for various classes are linked out to the different grade levels. I'm sure even right now some of you have questions, but I also want to show the preschool example, and then I'll take questions on this. So that was looking at 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, more of an intermediate grade level. I'm going to show you a preschool example. Here it is. Oh, shoot, I clicked on Woodford. Sorry. So this is actually Rachel Alexis's preschool, and we got together the last couple of days, brainstormed on resources, and she is helping train some of the ECE preschool teachers with me. So thank you so much, Rachel. But this is using your homeroom, again, using homeroom as a hub and having visual options for students and parents. Now at the preschool level, we have, we are sort of authoring everything toward the parent because the parent is the one logging in, and we actually named it Resources for Families Learning at Home. I'm gonna, we're keeping it clean and simple to the resources, but these are vetted out by either the ECE team or Rachel. If you know you've got a great resource, you can create a more child-friendly or visual-friendly experience by adding a page. And I can get into the weeds of how to in just a minute. But the last thing I want to show before I take questions is, let me stop presenting, that view of that on mobile, because we know that most of our parents are connecting with mobile. So if I'm in Rachel's preschool course now, and so that Resources for Families was a link I tap, and then look at that. That visual is so user-friendly. I'm going to open the CPS Remote Learning Plan. I just tapped on it. It's opening my document. and then it opens in PDF form. So I, as a parent, have that remote learning plan right at my fingertips by the Schoology course. Also, the Scholastic Learn from Home resource, that was one that Rachel wanted shared with her parents. It works. I tested it on both Apple and Android. It works beautifully, even with read aloud books for students to listen and follow along. And this is all on mobile. So we looked at having coursework in 4th, 5th, and 6th grade in an intermediate classroom, linking out to math assignments, discussions. You can get really rich, meaty content, all the way down to just having picture-based parent support, learn from home links. And all of that is done under that topic of using Schoology as a hub for your online learning. So I'm just going to open it up for questions around that right now. Nothing in the chat, Jen?
Nothing in the chat.
Nothing in the chat. So what I did was show you a lot of what you can do. And some of you might be like, okay, but how do I do that? That looks exhausting. I do want to let you know that at the preschool level, the templates of what we're building in Rachel's class is going to be shared with everybody. So if you just want to pull that document in, you can. How to edit it so that if you want different resources, I can show you that as well. And then if you're more of an intermediate age or specialist and you want to have a setup more like the intermediate example I gave you, then we can work on that specifically as well. Those topics, both ECE and course building for intermediate, will be on next week's virtual PD menu. So you can attend one of those. If any of you are like, I'm ready to dig in and dive into it now, I'd be happy to set a follow-up on one of those two topics sometime tomorrow. So how do we communicate with students here? Thank you, great question. When I'm on that screen, I can see the questions. All right, if I wanted to communicate with families or students, I can post an update and that will go to everybody. Oh, sorry, Rachel, I said I was gonna delete that and I didn't. I used hers as a training course this morning. So this, an update here would be very similar to what parents are already getting from Dr. Turpo here on the Woodford page. So it's just like that. You can post the message, you can include an attachment of a video. And then the other piece I like to show people, so you can type your message here, is this
Rosemary,
tool.
can you take over the screen again? I don't know if you're.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's see how many times I make that mistake on this call. 2 or 3 now? Oh my. Okay. My bad. All right. In Rachel's course, I'm just in the updates and I can type my message here. And it's just like the ones that Dr. Turpo does for the Woodford staff, a message, attaching a video, all of these things, links. You can do that for your students and parents. So you would type it here, but I want to focus on this toolbar at the bottom. Here you can attach a file, so whether it's your remote learning plan, maybe you don't want to get into all the materials I just showed you building, you can just attach it right here. You can also send a link, include a link to whatever you want to share. This is probably my favorite tool for recording short things like under 5 minutes. You can actually record a message right here in the body of your update. So you just hit start recording and it starts. So you can talk to them, you can read a quick short story, do a quick math activity, or just say hello. They need to be able to connect with you. You get to preview it. The sound's not going to work because I'm using sound on a web meeting right now, so you wouldn't do it while you're on a web meeting. But then you just hit insert recording and post, and then that appears for parents and students, just like Dr. Turpo's updates appear for you. It does also work from mobile. And are we at the point now where you can just trust me that it does work well on mobile, or would you guys like to see it? All right, I'm gonna take it you'll trust me. But
There was a question, if they go to the PDs for technology, do they get credit for that?
Yes. I was trying to open that form and my computer started to freeze up. Let me try to open it on another screen. Okay, I've got the form. Let me try to send the link. Any training that you do with anybody on my team, we are tracking your contact hours for you if you fill out this form. You do have to have your employee ID. That's required from Launch Ed. But then there's no registration or anything like that. You just fill out the form, and in May, we will be reporting hours to Launch Ed. So let me drop that form in the chat box now for you. Don't fill it out till we get to the end of this session today. But on that form, you can indicate what we trained on. You would want to select remote learning strategies, video conferencing tools, and then Schoology and anything else we get to. We might get to YouTube, we might not. Obviously, select your school. All right, for this, you can please include this as a staff meeting. For your hours, please mark the 1 to 2 because this is scheduled as an hour. We looked at this and we actually talked with Kevin at Launch Ed and about wanting to round up for teachers doing remote PD because you're going to take that time and you're going to have a little bit of practice that you're either doing, whether it's getting into the meeting or taking something you learned. So for today's, do the 1 to 2 hours. My name's right there, Rosemary Jane. There's just a brief survey on how this went. If you could leave your comments, we do appreciate it. Our managers do read this. But that will get your contact hours for this time and any subsequent training that you do. If you drop in my office hours or any of my team's office hours, if you do any of the virtual PDs, you can get credit. All right. I know that I threw a lot at you at Schoology updates you know about from Dr. Turpo's updates, but you have those as well. Direct communication with students. I can send a message directly to a student in my class. And I can select that student. Why is she not coming up? Sorry. I'm just going to select an adult for this purpose. There we go. So I'm going to select an adult. You would select a student you have on your roster. And then it looks just like writing an email. Put in your subject and you can message them directly. Or you could do the option of having, did I keep Keepers open? I did. You can have more of an open communication by posting discussion boards. I don't want to open hers because her students' actual discussions are on there. But if you have a discussion board, that's an open communication method. So you can do any of those things, direct message individuals, and that is also goes to your connected parents. Discussion boards are visible to everybody and they can comment on each other's as well. Updates, they can only comment to you. They cannot comment on each other's. And parents cannot do anything except direct messaging because we don't want them in as their students sort of in the student seat. We want them in a parent seat. Dr. Turpo, did that cover your questions on communication with students? You can just...
Okay, so question. When we're doing, teachers want to get a communication out to their entire roster. When they go to the update in the feed, that's just the student getting a notification that something's there. But when you send a email, you use that function. Is that different? Are they getting another type of notification?
So it gives them this envelope up here will have an icon on it. It will also be going to their student email accounts.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So if I go in here, okay, if I send this, they should be getting an email notification that I messaged them. Now, younger students probably didn't do this, but notifications can be turned off or on by a user. Especially on mobile, sometimes you download something and it says, do you want to receive notifications? If you hit no, then that's changed. And so then you've got to be mindful that they may not be getting an email notification. You might have to reach out to that student individually and say, hey, let's make sure that you are receiving my notifications. So
that
I had a couple teachers asking about that today. Because
yeah, some
if
of you
you're
are
doing a lot of
inundated.
emails on your group-wise, you can turn off your notifications so you don't get that every single time.
Let's go over that real quick. This is for any of you. Now, I will say this, be careful about which ones you do or do not turn off. As a Woodford staff member, you probably want to get notified if Dr. Turpo updates this, or if there's a, you know, you might not want the comments, but if you are, let's just say, even in your own homeroom, you might want to make sure that if somebody comments on your post, that you get an email notification on that until you build that habit. I would say the more you can build the habit of just checking Schoology daily, you don't need to get an email for any of this. You can see I keep them turned off for the most part, except for very specific courses I need to follow. Let me go into one that I have more customized notifications on. Like this one, for example, I have a lot more notifications turned on because this is one that I need to be attentive to. And I don't want to risk that I forgot to check Schoology, so I have it go to my email as well. So you can, your students can, just like in Google, just like in any mobile device, users do have the ability to turn off or on notifications. So just be mindful of that. You can't assume somebody has their notifications on just because you sent communication out. Did you guys need to see how to check if parents are connected in Schoology and how to reach them? Okay, it looks like we are not going to get to video conferencing at, I started at 11:05, so I'm going to stop at 12:05. If anybody has to hop on, don't worry, I'm recording this. At 12 o'clock, I'm going to stop and just quickly show you something with YouTube because I just want you to know it's there, and we can certainly schedule a follow-up. To check if your parents are connected, you would open your course and you scroll down to members. At a quick glance, I can see that Grace's parent is not connected, but Angela's parent is because this name is associated with the child. I can see that Hannah's parent is, but Rosemary, Jatan, and Jennifer, and yes, you guys know I use you for my stuff. Your parents are not connected. So then what I can do is reach out individually to these parents, and I can download the parent access codes. When you download that, it does create an Excel file. I previously opened one and blocked out the codes to guard student privacy, but the codes would be there. You do not share this file with parents. You contact the parent and send them their individual code. So right there is what this parent's, Grace's parent needs this code. So if I am on the phone with that parent, or if I'm in a meeting and I know that's who I'm talking to, you do want to keep student security in mind. You can email it to their email in Powerschool. If you're talking to them personally, you can verbally tell them. And then what you would direct them to do, if they've never signed up, you want to ask them first, are you signed up for Schoology? If they are not, you tell them to go to Schoology.com. And I do have all of this in a guide that I can send to you guys. And you'll tell them to sign up as a parent. And the first thing it does is ask for that access code. So the first thing it's doing is connecting the parent to a child. If they are already signed up, they can just log into their account. Shoot, I don't remember mine. Hold on just a second. Okay.
And Rosemary, while you're doing that, if there are multiple students, does the parent still have the same code?
So the code is related to the student. So I was getting ready to just show you that.
Okay.
So I had to log into my parent account. All right, so I'm into my parent account now. And if I just go over here, some of you have gotten your older students connected, but you might have to have them add a preschool, kindergarten, or first grade child. So the first question you ask them is, are you signed in, or are you connected to Schoology? If they're not, have them go to Schoology.com and create a parent account, give them your child's access code. But then if they say, yeah, I am for my fourth grade student, say, oh, okay, can you log in and click on add a child, and I'll give you your kindergartner's code. So the codes are associated with a child, not a parent. So that parent is connecting to that child. But that's the great thing about it is if I have 4 students in the district, maybe a preschooler, a 3rd grader, a 6th grader, and a 9th grader across 2 or 3 buildings, I can see all of my students in one location and just toggle between them. as a parent, that's what we were focusing on this morning with preschool. Why do we want to create this stuff in Schoology? Well, it's so that that parent who has multiple children throughout the district can go to one location to access all their children's materials. And so we are close to the end of this. I want to be respectful of your time if you plan to get off at noon. Are there any other questions? I'm going to stay on till 12:05 just to show you YouTube recording and share with you the resources that we have for additional training opportunities.
Rosemary, I have a question.
Sure.
For my Google Hangouts with the kids, some of the parents wanted me to email them the information so that they would tell the kids. The parents should not be in that Hangout, right?
Not when
With the
children
other
are in there.
students.
So be mindful of this. Like, the parent's going to be in the room, right? We're video conferencing with children in their homes. So I would defer to Dr. Turpo judgment on that. I would not invite a parent email address to attend a meeting while students are in there.
Okay.
That doesn't feel right to me. But we don't have a set policy on those sort of things. So
I
would say if it's anybody above second grade, I would have parents out. I think anybody younger may need assistance as you're navigating, just knowing our population. So I think that first grade, K, and of course down may have parents assisting.
Okay. I just didn't want like Mr. Pryor as a tile communicating with my other students.
I agree.
And you may have to set those parameters before even that initial phone call to parents, just letting them know what the expectations are using the technology.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing is, if you don't want, like, let's say the kids using the laptop and the parents on the phone, you're going to get feedback noise, that boop,
Yes.
boop, 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 and it's going to be that really annoying, and then they both won't be able to hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, really good point, Jen. All right. Just because we did have that third topic, but I also want to empower you with, like, a lot of you are wondering, well, okay, meeting with students is great, but really you want to think of meetings as that engagement piece where I'm connecting with you and we're having a conversation and I'm getting your feedback. But if you strictly have like a routine or a skill that you want to record as a video separately, you can either invite them to join a live stream of you recording it, or you can just record it for yourself and share it later. Topics might be a read aloud, a repetitive math skill like teaching algorithm or something like that, a science topic where it's sort of almost like lecture based. So if those are recordings that you want to make, I do want to point out, I have this all the time. People are not aware that it exists in your waffle. We do all have YouTube in our waffle, and you all actually have a YouTube channel that you can populate. My public channel only has a handful of videos on it. But if you go into the YouTube studio, and you're not going to have anything there yet if you haven't done it yet, but I'm going to show you mine. I actually have tons of videos that I have created that I have published as unlisted. They are trainings, meetings, different things that I've recorded. This meeting or this training that we're doing here today is going to end up in here on my unlisted. Then I'm going to share that link with you, and then you can view it anytime, any place, so that for you, you can earn PD contact hours in a time that works for you. But so your students, maybe mom or dad or whoever is caring for them during the day has to work from home, and those kids cannot get on the device during work hours, but that child needs to get on in the evening. So we have to be mindful of that. And you want to start recording some of these things that you're doing. And if you have students in the meeting, absolutely publish that as unlisted. You don't want a public meeting with students' faces and voices in their own private home published publicly. But you can upload it to YouTube and share that as a private link. Only the people who get the link will view it. Or you can record directly from YouTube. And this is the piece I wanted to show you guys. You can upload the video here, but go live is an awesome feature. And out of respect for your time, since we only have 3 minutes left, I'm not going to walk you through, I'm not going to train you on this. What I'm going to tell you is this is easy to do. You title it whatever you want it to be. If it's going to be something that you don't mind being on your public channel, you can just leave it public, or you can go to unlisted. You indicate whether it's made for kids or not. They do give you some restrictions, like if you are going live, children cannot comment on a live thing, but if it's not, if it's directed toward parents, you know, I would suggest you think a kid could be watching this if you're recording live. But then you just start streaming, and I'm not going to walk you through all of those things, but that exists for you in YouTube. And so that's a place where you could start to do some recordings yourself. I saw the sign language one that Dr. Trupo posted. YouTube Live would be a great way to record that. You're streaming it if you want to be publicly, or you can just be recording it privately and sharing the link. And then afterwards, you've got that video in your studio that you can share out in your course or however you're communicating.
Well, and if it's a whole group lesson for the whole class, but it's just the teacher, I feel like it'd be good to just post it publicly, because then the parents and the students can subscribe to your channel, and every time you post something up there, they're going to see it every time you do that.
You are absolutely right. If you want to start using your YouTube channel as a resource, you should share it out on your Schoology or however you're communicating. You know, subscribe to me on YouTube and send them your link so that they know when you're going live, or so that they get an update, a notification when you've updated a video. So you guys do have YouTube. The other piece that I did say I wanted to share resources, and I know we've only got like a minute left. But here in Schoology Tech Talk, if you click here, you can see our schedule of trainings that are available this week, and then next week has been published already. It's hard to view. You do have to go up to Zoom. They created it in a Google slide, so you know how slides view. But anyway, the schedule is there. Also, too, our office hours are listed. Let me make this view much bigger so you can see. So our office hours are listed, how you can find us on chat, or the topics are there with links directly to the training meeting. So you've got this great resource you can use, and any of those, or the ones that, like this one that Dr. Turpo scheduled with me, anytime you're working with a member of my team, you can fill out that contact feedback form, and we'll track your contact hours, and we really value your feedback. So that's what I have.
Jody asked if there is a YouTube training.
So we were going to have that as part of this, but I obviously had an overly ambitious plan. So if Dr. Turpo wants me to schedule another one for Woodford, I can. If not, there will be YouTube ones on the schedule for next week. That is a in Schoology, that link, whoops, on the wrong course, that it's pinned to the top here, that is live, being updated all the time. So you can keep an eye on that for opportunities. But if, I mean, you know, if Woodford wants another one for your team, I can put that on the calendar. All right, we have just hit the 1 hour mark for our recording and our time. Are there other questions that I can address before we sign off? No? All right, let me show you one thing to be mindful of as you are using meetings with your students. As we're about to exit this session, think of it as a fire drill. You do not leave your classroom without making sure that every kid is out of the room, right? You check. So you need to visually check that everybody has left the meeting before you exit it, or else those students are staying in that meeting without your moderation. So you need to tell students to hang up, and then wait a minute, and if they don't hang up, then you can remove them from the meeting. So always make sure that everyone has been removed if they're children. I've gotten off more than one meeting, more than once, where the people remaining wanted to keep talking. I just hang up. That's fine with adults. But if there are children in the meeting, you need to make sure they are removed before you exit the meeting as the moderator.
And Rosemary, they can't join unless the moderator has invited them into the session, correct?
Yes and no. If they're in the organization and the code is like sitting in their course, they can get in. They can't join until the moderator goes in. So when the moderator's in, but when the moderator exits, they can stay. That's why it's so important to make sure you take them out. But yeah, they can't join unless the moderator launches the meeting.
Okay. And then, of course, we've been hearing a little bit more about this hijacking these meetings. I would recommend us not putting codes on Facebook.
No, yeah.
It is a closed group that you have, like CHIP and some of those other programs have closed groups. But make sure you're not broadcasting these codes out to the public.
Yeah, and be mindful when you have things pop up. There's a couple of you here in the meeting today who, you know, it wasn't a CPS account and I had to accept them in. Be mindful when you accept someone in that you say, hey, can you tell me who's here? And make sure you identify who it is. And if you're not sure who it is, exit them from the meeting. You can go over here and you can remove them.
Is there a way to identify or have a conversation with that person before you actually add them into There's not. Okay. So all you see is them attempting to get in and you have to either accept or deny.
That's correct. And if you really think about it, that gets a little dangerous, right?
Yeah.
I mean, somebody, as soon as they come in, could show something very inappropriate. So I would be careful about the outside of organization requests. If you are aware that you're with adults, still be mindful of checking as soon as they come into the meeting who it is. I would advise that any child be logged into their account, even if their parent's helping them, tell that parent, you know, this is our class meeting time, so make sure your child's logged in to as much as you can, because then from inside the organization, they just automatically join. The only time you get that message pop up is if they're joining from outside the organization. Now that doesn't mean, like the people who came in here today who joined from outside, you joined either from a cell phone or maybe you're on your personal Gmail account. It's not bad that you're in here, but as the moderator, I did ask, like when the unknown person came in, the first thing I did was like, please identify yourself because I want to make sure that it's somebody who should be in this meeting.
Can you show how to get to the virtual meetings again and show how to get into your office hours? That was
certainly. Yeah. So the virtual, do you mean the CPS ones that from my team? Yeah, because it's not just me. There's 7 of us right now doing this. In the CPS Tech Talk course, pinned to the very top is our schedule for joining virtual PD and office hours. So when you pop that open, I already zoomed it for you because it does open in Google Slides. You've got this week's schedule. You've got the training topics, the user guides for what we're training on, and next week's schedule. So you can see if you want to join office hours, if you're joining office hours, I kind of got a little slap on the wrist yesterday. They don't want me to do it as an open meeting. So you have to go to chat. If you want to contact any of these people for their office hours, and you want to go down to chat and find that person. So tomorrow's person is Adam Bessler. So if you look at the instructions there, it says at Adam Bessler. Actually, don't even have to put the @ sign in. You just type Adam Bessler and he pops up. And so during his office hours, he is moderating that chat right there. So that's to get to the chat for office hours. Virtual PDs, you can just join on the fly. There's no registration needed. So if today, let's say that you wanted to do 12 o'clock now, let's see, what was after 12 today? There's a Schoology Basics coming up. So if I wanted to join that, I literally just join the meeting code at that time. But you just click it and you're in. So then when you're in, the moderator is going to be posting that feedback form link in the chat for you to get your contact hours.
So Rosemary, if
Does anybody want me to post that one more time so you don't have to scroll back? I could do that. Okay. Melissa, what was your question?
If I miss the Pear Deck meeting, virtual meeting, is it recorded somewhere that I could watch it?
All of mine are recorded. So if I host anything, I record everything. You would have to reach out to the individual who hosted that. I can ask my team, are they recording it? Because if I train on it, I'm recording it, will be available for you to view in your own time. But I can't be sure what the others are doing.
Okay.
Ask it during the call too. Say, hey, are you recording this? Like, ask that.
Yeah, I just noticed I missed a couple good ones.
They're all going to repeat. Everything that's already been is going to repeat, and more topics are being added. Okay. I have 3 of my own that aren't on the calendar yet, just because Dr. Turpo knows I struggle with scheduling things sometimes. Because I'm in meetings all day.
Thank you.
Hey,
love
also just real quick, that chat feature is an awesome tool. Many of us will have IEP meetings that are coming up really soon. It's a great way to talk to your colleagues as you are having meetings, sharing information. Typically, we do that through kicking each other under the table or try to make eye contact with each other as we sit in these meetings. But using that chat feature will allow you to have some conversations as you are sitting in meetings. So take advantage of
Yeah.
that.
I will, just because we have gone over, I'm just double checking my schedule. I'm pretty sure I didn't have anything. I will show you guys a tool that's super helpful. You could have a split screen going on, and I know you know how to just do it yourself, but there's an add-on tool. No, I'm good. This was supposed to be my lunch, whatever. I haven't had a lunch this week. There is a little extension called Tab Resize. So if I'm in this meeting, but I also want my chat up, right? I can just click on Tab Resize. You'll have to add it, but I'll drop the link if you want it. And I can click on this, and it automatically splits and resizes this for me. Let me click here. So I can have my meeting going on here, and I can have my chat going on here. So this would be a great way for you to kind of side by side. Now, it warns you, if you're the moderator and presenting, both your windows are showing up for everybody. So don't do that if you if you want a side conversation. But if you're not the moderator and you're just participating, use the Tab Resize key to have the meeting in one side of the window and the chat in the other side of the window. So that would be a really handy way for you to hop back and forth. Or if you're in one of my trainings and I'm showing you how to do something in Schoology, you could have the meeting right here and you could be following along in the window beside it. So would you guys like me to share that link with you? Okay. So again, it's just at the Chrome Web Store. These extensions can get addictive. I have a lot of them, but
So,
that is a really handy one.
and these, I use this all the time and have for a long time. They are great, especially with these smaller screens that we have right now. It's a good way. You can have multiple things up at the same time. You may have your IEP up on one side and your meeting going in the other one, or talking to students in the Hangout and have up the packet or whatever you're trying to work on the other side. So I definitely recommend installing this. Real easy.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. So you can see I have a ton of them. I have been asked by my team, because I'm sort of an efficiency tools nut. I love efficiency tools. I've been asked to lead one of our virtual PD sessions just on efficiency tools for working from remote. So that'll be on next week's schedule. So I'll be sharing things like Tab Resize and this tile grid view and any new things that I've been using. But and even things like anchoring everything together in Schoology, work out of one place, but it can be linking to multiple places. So we're going to be looking at efficiency tools next week.
So in closing, Rosemary, I know I've been doing these meetings for a while now, and a lot of chat happens in these meetings. Is there a way to capture the chats after the meeting?
It is a beautiful thing. Let me show you this. Thank you for asking that. I didn't think to cover that. In that Meet Drive, I truly love Google. I think it's just the best tool. In that drive, it creates a Google Doc with your whole chat history from the meeting.
Okay, how do you
Timestamped.
support that? That's awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. It just automatically downloads it into your Meet recording. It records, it downloads the meeting and the chat. Two separate documents. So the meeting is a video and the chat is a document.
Now, is that just if you're the facilitator?
The moderator gets that, yes. So if you
gets
participate in a meeting that is, and also too, that only exists when it's recorded. So if the moderator is not recording the meeting, if it's something where you know you're going to need that archive, ask the moderator, will you please record this and share that with me? If it is something that, like, if you guys are a tight lockstep team, I know we have a lot of tight teams at Woodford, I would just share my Meet recording folder. If I have a trusted teammate, I'd share it with them, or I could make a subfolder within here and maybe call it second grade team and just drag those meetings and notes into those, because sharing on Google is so easy. So I'll make sure I include that in my efficiency tools. Google Meet subfolders. Yeah, so if it is not recorded, what you would have to do if you want that archive, just FYI, the chat only appears from you from the time you entered. but it's Google. So you can literally just select all, copy, and drop it into any doc or into an email or whatever you need to. Just bear in mind, like I was having connection problems. So when I got bumped out, I might want to say to Jen, who hasn't been bumped out, hey, Jen, can you copy and paste that chat before you hang up? So if it's not been recorded, but you want the chat, you just copy and paste. And like Blue Jeans does not have that feature. It's a nice thing in Google.
Thank you, Mary. Rosemary.
You're welcome. It's so good to see all your faces. Make sure you fill out your form and get your contact hours. Please give your feedback about me. It never hurts to put a specific comment in there. It'll only help me grow. Be nice, but be honest. All right.
Can you send this meeting to me so that I can post
it?
To the staff?
It's going on the Woodford. I'm publishing it to the Woodford page today. It takes a little time to render. I'm going to publish this recording with the link to contact hours. So anybody can watch this who didn't attend, or if you need to rewatch it, good Lord, I would not want to rewatch it, but you have that ability. So yeah, I'm trying to make this as anytime, any place for all of you as I can, because this is a lot. All right.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. All right. Don't forget to exit yourself from the meeting. Since you're grown folks, I'm not going to exit you, but just always, I like to remind you of that. I'm signing off. I'm going to stop the recording first, and then I'm going to sign out. Bye, guys.